I'm back for more. All right, July 1968, week 30, 193. It looked like the war would never slow down. Reuben laughed when I asked him about it. Ain't no way, man. The white-collar dudes sitting in D.C. aren't the ones bleeding. They have it their way, this war will last forever, and if we run out of Viet Cong to blow up, they'll find some other war to keep business hopping. I didn't want to believe him because I was depending on my college deferment to keep me safely out of the draft through 1973. There was no way we'd still be in Vietnam that long, so I'd graduate from college and step into a peaceful working world. But if we were still at war, I'd be instant draft bait, and that would change everything. I didn't want to think about it, but all afternoon, images of jungle warfare and death haunted me. If Reuben was right, in 5 years I might be digging foxholes and dodging bullets on the front lines of a jungle war. And even in the heat of the Arizona sun, a chill shivered me. August 1968, week 31, 171. It's the not knowing that's the worst. Is he rotting in a Viet Cong prison, or is he dead? Angela's voice trembled. Why don't they tell us something, Ash? They have to know where he is. She got worked up like this when all the worrying at home dominoed onto her. She could hold up when only her mom freaked, but when her dad caved too, she couldn't handle it, and she'd call to tell me to meet her at the park. Last night, a mean desperation gripped her and a kind of panic-laced determination to do something to fix things. When I got there, she was pacing back and forth in front of the swing set. As soon as she saw me, she unloaded. The frustration and pain, anger and sadness. I'd heard it all before and knew the best thing I could do was to listen. So I sat on a swing while she paced and talked and swore and cried. When she finished, she turned to me and said, "I'll do anything to save him, Ash. Anything. Even die." The look on her face told me she meant it, and I wondered where that kind of courage and love came from. If I were in her shoes, would I be willing, would I be able to sacrifice my life for a sibling? Ooh, that's an interesting question. Maybe that should be a free write. Think about that for Friday. August 1968, week 32, 173. After school, I found Mom whispering into the phone in the kitchen, wiping tears from her cheeks as she sat hunched at the table. When she saw me, she hung up and dabbed her eyes with a tissue. "Was that Dad?" I asked. "A friend," and I knew she meant that guy. "Ash, there is something you should know about." But then the front door opened and Dad walked into the kitchen. Reading the surprise on our faces, he said, "I still own this house, you know, even if I don't live here anymore. I came to pick up a few things." The shock of seeing Dad made Mom ready for a fight. "You could have called." Dad stared at her, then at me, and sighed. "I tried," he said, "but the line's been busy for more than an hour." Raw tension smoldered between them. A standoff, just like old times. But Dad ended it by going downstairs. Taking a deep breath, Mom rested her head on her hands. "This is a real rugged patch for me, Ash, and I'm going to need your help to get through it." The doorbell rang, and before I could move, I heard the door open in Dad's annoyed voice. "What do you want?" Mom paled and dropped her hand to her belly. Angela's voice. "Is Ash home?" "At my front door, with my dad." I got up so fast my chair crashed to the floor, but I arrived too late. She saw me standing behind my dad and smiled. "Hey, Ash." Dad stepped back, took a long look at her, then turned to me. "Who is this?" Icy slivers spiked his voice, and I felt hearts and hopes and doors slamming shut as I fumbled for answers that would satisfy my father and my hippie girlfriend. Yikes. August 1968, week 33, 159. Angela and her mother brought dinner over Wednesday night. When she had heard about Dad, she insisted on doing something to help. "Mom and I know something about loss," she had said, "and it's no fun dealing with it alone." When they walked in, it felt like they breathed life back into our home. Angela's mom hugged my mom like they were long-lost sisters. And Mom's eyes teared up when she met Angela. "I'm sorry about what happened the last time you came over. Ash's dad, well, just let me say I'm sorry, but I am delighted to meet you." What happened? After eating, we went downstairs to watch the evening news, but when a report on the war came on, I jumped up and changed the channel to a news program about a massive high-rise office building project that was getting started in New York City. These twin office towers, said the reporter, would be the world's tallest, a permanent monument to America's ingenuity, capitalistic system, and democracy. Now think about that for a minute. This is 1968, and the Twin Towers were just being built or just being thought of. And I find it interesting that it said it would be a permanent monument. Just think about that. Mom started laughing. "Isn't it ironic that we're bombing the hell out of one country while we're building monuments to our own greatness?" The room fell silent. I felt the awkwardness of Mom's political statement. But seconds later, Angela's mom said, "I hear you, sister." August 1968, week 34, 308. The attention from Mrs. Turner really helped my mom get through some rough days, but still I worried. Sometimes after work, I'd find Mom in her bedroom, panting and moaning and dripping with sweat. I'd never felt so weak and desperate. If Mom went into labor at home, what would I do? What could I do? Call an ambulance and hope it would get her to the hospital in time? What if something went wrong? Complications, or worse? If I lost my mom, the baby, or both, what would become of me? August 1968, week 35, 408. Pounding dirt in the pounding Arizona sun darkened my skin and hardened my body, and Ruben Ortega made me appreciate the broiling heat. "You think this is tough," he said. "Try a couple days in a muddy foxhole with mortar shells dropping all around you day and night." He stared into the distance and his voice would get ragged. "Never knowing if shrapnel or a sniper will nail you while you're sweating in a stinking hellhole, just hoping to make it through the night." Then he'd snap out of it, focus his eyes on me, and say, "Don't never go to war. If it don't kill you, it'll break you, and you'll be digging ditches with burned out war vets in 110-degree heat the rest of your life." Working with Ruben changed how I read the weekly casualty reports. He'd seen buddies shipped home in body bags. He'd been splattered by their blood. He'd heard their panicked cries and choking death sobs. He'd lived through the carnage and knew some of the 408 men who died last week. To me, they were part of an abstract number, but to him, they were real flesh and blood men sacrificed on the altar of war. I tried to make it real, but to me and most Americans, the men who died were just part of a tragic count that changed each week. By the end of the summer, when I read the casualty reports, I remembered the haunted, wounded look on Ruben's face when he talked about the war, and I earnestly hoped Kelly wasn't part of the tragic tally of dead in Vietnam. All right, I'm going to stop there. See you next time.